Today I'm going to show you guys how to become an elite driver of the golf ball. We're at 185, 128 miles an hour club head speed, 320 in the air, and 340 total. And there's not one of those that was less than 180 miles an hour. As you've seen in recent videos, my driving has been off the charts. I think that's due to having the right equipment in my hands. You guys know I have the GT3 that's at C1, 10 degrees of loft. Ventus Blue 7X shaft is a 1/2 inch short, like most of you guys. I'm gonna show you guys a couple things that I have really worked on in the last couple months, especially since signing with Titleist. Also guys, massive shout out to Carl's Place. You see this right here? If it wasn't for Carl's Place, then I would not be able to practice as much as I do, and it has made a huge difference in my game. If you want to see all of this, the exact setup that I have, the enclosure, the screen, the mat, everything, go click in the description, and all of the links for everything that I have is right there. First, I want to talk about setup. This was actually, I had some real eye-opening things happening recently with setup with the driver that put my body in a better position to start out. So let's talk about that. With a driver, and this is something I wasn't really aware that I wasn't doing. But since we want to have, since I want to have an upward angle of attack, which is irons or down, everybody knows that. Driver, you want to be hitting slightly up on it. What kind of helps us get into a position where we don't have to think about trying to hit up on the ball, because that can be problematic. You'll start to get some spinny shots, high, way too high, just not that penetrating ball flight. So when I used to set up the ball, I used to be really front side dominant, so my shoulders would be kind of open, everything would be more to the lead side, and that caused me to have a lot of, like, my path was still into out, but I was coming from more just not a good place. Understanding how people like Roy McIlroy set up to the golf ball is huge, and it can help anybody. Even if you only play on the weekends, this can help you be more consistent and stop slicing the ball. So when you set up to it, you actually want your center of gravity to be, there was a center line here, you want your center of gravity to be slightly behind that. And I used to be up here, but now when I set up to it, I'm bringing that center of gravity back, so it's back behind that center line just a little bit. Head's almost probably back here, which is like probably almost a club head and a half behind the ball. And then that's my setup position. There's a little more pressure on this rear leg. That pressure stays the same. When I get to the top, now there's a lateral shift towards the ball. And one thing that Greg told me that was very eye-opening, if I was gonna throw this golf ball, like if I was gonna be on a pitcher's mound, imagine if a pitcher started like this, right? You don't start forward and then go more forward to try to get momentum. So pitchers always start back here. There's a forward momentum to get max velocity. And that's what we're looking for, right? Max velocity. Setup is a crucial thing to being able to hit straighter drives and keep the face square for longer. So setup, everything I just said, that's how I set up to the ball now. It has really, really changed the way that I am able to hit tee shots. And obviously you guys have seen it. It's just been very special. And I have the right equipment. All right, so one more thing before we move on to how to create a little more speed. When you start back and you get to the top and you're in that nice athletic position, as you start to swing down and there's a little more of a lateral shift towards the ball, when you shift laterally, it helps you to keep the face square for longer. Everybody's goal is just to keep the face square through impact with a good path. The less face rotation you have, the better, that you create more consistency. So when you start back, and if you start back, you will just, like when I started doing this, I realized I didn't have to think about moving forward, because your body is like, okay, in order to hit the ball, I have to go forward. So simply just starting a little farther back instead of starting here. If I start here, I go back, and then I have to go back. So there's so much movement that has to happen before I get back to the ball. And that's why I used to be so timing based, and now it's not as much timing based, and I'm hitting way straighter drives. I do this even with my irons. There's a little bit of lateral shift through impact, and that helps you keep the face square. Now let's move on and talk about some speed. I know everybody wants to hit the ball farther. I hit it pretty far, and through a lot of coaching and understanding and learning, I've learned a lot of different things that have helped me be able to hit it really far. And I'm not really that big in stature, okay? I'm 5'4", and I'm 126 pounds. And when I can produce 190 miles an hour, that is pretty special, I think. All right, so couple tips for speed. This thing is moving on an arc. And in order, if you take a if you take a little like rock or a little like Twinkie or something and tie it on a string and you start spinning it around, when you get to that outside, you're not moving your hand with that. You're actually doing a motion where when that is getting to its max velocity, you're actually pulling away from it. And this is actually a really great analogy because this is how you move the club faster. So when I get to the top of my swing, come back over here. When I get to the top of my swing, this is not when I'm trying to create speed. When I'm trying to create speed, you got to get in a good position, which what we just talked about helps you get in a good position. Once you're here, you're in the right backswing position and you start your downswing. There is actually a moment when I'm pushing up and I am pulling away from this golf ball. And it's almost like I'm pulling the handle back, and as I'm pulling the handle back, that's when the club head is moving and releasing and then actually getting to the golf ball. So max velocity happens down here, and it's not because of you starting to swing fast here. It's because you're in a good position here, you're able to get the club back here in front of you, and then from there, you're pushing up and pulling the grip through. It's the same analogy of what I just told you about with like a Twinkie on a string. And so then when you get to this moment right here, and you're pushing off the ground, the harder you push away from the golf ball, the quicker the head is going to get to the ball, and the more speed it's going to be having when it gets there. So that's one of like the simplest forms and the simplest ways that I think about speed. Let's just hit a couple balls here and just kind of like give you guys a little idea what this looks like, and maybe we can slow it down a little bit and you can see, because a lot of people when they see faster players swinging the golf club, they're like, man, it doesn't look like they're swinging that fast, because it's all happening at the bottom, not the top. And so most people, they see this efficient club moving, and then it gets here, and that's when it's moving very quickly, and it's harder to notice it down there. So nice setup, little weight back into this backside, making sure that you have a wide backswing, wide to the top, and then a little bit of lateral movement. And then once you have that first move, then you're gonna be pushing up, and then that's where the club is right there, pulling away, and then the club's gonna release. Yeah, that was pretty good. 127 miles an hour, about 320, 323 total. And that's just a smoothie, 181 ball speed. And that's kind of like cruising. Like I don't really have to do too much to that. And because of what I just told you, because of how it's all about efficiency. That's how you create speed. It's not necessarily, yeah, like if you're tall and you have good levers, that definitely helps, but it's all about efficiency in order to be able to, like, you can gain a couple miles an hour here and there easy if you just learn how to move the club more efficiently. Same thing, 320, 129 miles an hour club head speed, just a really good drive. That was so good. That's one that everything squared up. 185, 128 miles an hour club head speed, 320 in the air and 340 total. And it was 5 yards left of the center line. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's hitting about every fairway known to man. Also, you guys, you gotta understand too, if you're trying to play at a higher level or just get better, having the right ball makes a big difference. When I went through my fitting with Bango, I realized that I need more spin on my driver. If you're a faster player, you're gonna be looking for more spin. If you're a slower player, if you have 100 to 105 miles an hour, you're gonna wanna lower your spin. So you don't have to buy expensive golf balls, but you can find golf balls that spin less, and that is gonna help with your driving consistency too. And there's not one of those that was less than 180 miles an hour, and I am not having to try super hard. But guys, this was a quick video. This was one that I just love doing stuff like this. It's just kind of tips and tricks here and there, and I hope that some of you guys can take some of this, take to the golf course, come back, let me know if it's working, drop it in the comments. But thanks for tuning in, thanks for subscribing, and let me know if you want to see more of this stuff, and maybe even bring some people in to help clarify it even more. But love you guys, we'll see you next time.